Welcome back, everyone, to the North American LCS. We're going to be getting a look at a viewing party here at Battle and Brew in Sandy Springs, Georgia. The fans, of course, getting excited over Santorin's spears or javelins of death. I actually realized recently that javelins are a subclass of spear, so no one's wrong by saying spears.
I remember that conversation.
Javelin's more specific.
Yeah,
so.
you were trying to correct us.
Yeah.
And you got corrected.
I mean, that was kind of right.
Yeah.
Javelin's certainly more accurate. But either way, we're getting ready for our final game of the day. It's Team Impulse versus Team Dignitas. Now, Impulse, they are riding a 5-game winning streak that has taken them from a packed midfield to now sharing third place at the start of the day. And with Team Liquid's loss, Impulse have a guaranteed spot in the playoffs. They just want to play for top 2.
Yeah, it's really huge for them. The top 2 is really what they're playing for, and that starts here. We look at the year, though. Team Impulse started as a collection of individually strong players, but in recent weeks and during their resurgence here, they've really come together as a cohesive team. Rush, in particular, has been the one that adjusted insanely well to the LCS and his team, while still maintaining that aggression that made him the #1 player in Korean solo queue. And while a lot of other junglers are jumping to the tank champions right now or failing, Rush is sticking with the carry picks here, Nidalee 2 games in a row, and succeeding. I wonder if that gets taken away, because that seems to be the remaining damage jungler that is succeeding in North America.
That's true. We'll see what else happens with Rush in this game. But the caveat, of course, for Team Impulse is that they cannot get overconfident because they are still, again, in that race to get a playoff bye. The team they're about to face, Team Dignitas, are in a race of their own. They're trying to fight Winterfox for 8th place.
And Winterfox won, which is really huge.
Yeah.
Team Dignitas, while they no longer have playoff aspirations, they clearly want to stay in the LCS, as anyone would. And ending the week ahead of Winterfox would give them the all-important choice of who they will face in the summer promotion tournament, which just makes this game all the more important for Team Dignitas and their future.
Absolutely. So we're going to see what these teams can do as they get themselves onto the Rift. You know, Kiwi Kid himself, actually, he's admiring Impulse of Jungler Rush as well. And he says, in particular, he's a fan of his go big or go home play style.
I think their team's kind of adjusted to how Rush plays. And it's so awesome to watch him play. He's always everywhere. And he's super aggressive. And sometimes it leads to his demise. But, you know, hey, go for the gold, man. It's cool.
Honestly, I feel like Kiwi Kid, if anyone has the mindset of go for the gold, it's been him. I mean, if we think back to past seasons on Team Dignitas, it's been a little bit more subdued this year. But enemy teams would say the Kiwi Kid has an amazing amount of pressure as a support. Like 25% of the time, he will win his team the game. The only problem with that is 75% of the time, he would be losing the game for his team.
It's true.
This year he's been a little bit more conservative.
Yeah, I was going to say the exact same thing. I think you said it a bit better. Kiwi Kid, yeah, it's pretty much the right role model for him is to look at Rush. Be like, I want to do that too. Just more control. Anyway, we're going to check out the starting lineups. On the blue side, it is Team Impulse. Impact in the top lane, Rush in the jungle, Xiao in mid, Apollo on AD carry, and Adrian on support.
And on the red side, we have Team Dignitas. Of course, Gamsu in the top lane, a Zingy in the jungle. Maybe we'll see some more Zac today. Shifter in mid lane, Core JJ on AD carry, and go for the gold man, Kiwi Kid on support.
Going for gold indeed. At least they have that color on their jerseys, so at least he can kind of keep that in mind.
Makes sense.
Look down, look close to it. Yeah, it does. It does. It works out for him. All right. Either way, though, getting ourselves into champ select in a few seconds. Team Impulse. They are 1 win behind C9, 2 wins behind CLG, and they play CLG later on. So
it's a tight one.
Impulse actually in control of their own destiny. If they win out, they can guarantee 2nd place for themselves.
Right. That would, of course, be a win here, a defeat of CLG, and then maybe a victory tiebreaker over Cloud9 because they are 1-1 against Cloud9 on the year.
And they'd be 1-1 with CLG as well at that point.
Still a lot of playoff implications coming in here. Would be crazy, you know, we look at this team after or during week 4. They did not start super well. At one point in the season, Impulse was 3-4.
Yeah.
So definitely a lot of improvement coming there. And now they're forcing Karthus bans. Just Xiao. 2 solid games on Karthus.
I really did like the mugshot we had of them where they were like, guys, Karthus was a fluke. Don't worry about it. Karthus is not a real thing.
Yeah.
To add insult to injury, it's a Zingy's team that's banning Karthus.
Yeah, it's true.
Like, if anyone had a Spirit champion, it'd be a Zingy with the jungle Karthus here. He doesn't even get to play it because they've got to ban it away from Impulse here. Hecarim gone away. A lot of Shadow Isles bans overall. Vi, so the Zingy not getting one of his fighter junglers if he were to play it. But Nidalee's still not in the crosshairs yet.
I mean, I feel like that's just going to push Zingy closer onto Zac.
Yeah.
Something he played twice last week. And I love the fact that Dignitas is targeting Rush and early game junglers. Now, the thing will be, will Rush... I feel like he's just going to go for Rek'Sai eventually.
Has a good chance.
Here, it's something he's shown success on. We did talk about how Rek'Sai has been falling off a little bit in the past week and a half now of North American LCS.
Yeah.
It's just what Rush has left.
That's true, unless he thinks he's got some champions left.
Or he could
in a
play
bit.
Skarner.
Yeah?
He's been trying to play Skarner for so long. He's not going to play Skarner.
No, different insect we picked up here. Similar color scheme. Big's the breed,
one
and
can dream.
yeah, Rek'Sai, the queen of the Zersai here for Rush in the jungle. You figure it's should be one of his best champions. Void Rush, the ultimate after all. So many reasons why this is a spirit animal.
Absolutely.
So Dignitas now to make their own choices. They know it's a fighter jungler down here. Gamsu has played top Rek'Sai himself, but won't be getting that in this game, obviously, with it picked away. Zach, you mentioned it. Looks like a Zingy happy to keep playing this champion. And with this lock-in, actually, Dignitas hiding a lot of their strategy. They know there's no more jungle contest here, and Zach itself probably not contested by any other team in North America, but...
Yep, nice collection of tanks already.
Yeah.
Forcing Team Impulse to come up with some type of answer for it. They have all the room in the world to change around the end of this team composition. And Team Impulse has been a team that definitely shows a lot of versatility in the pick and ban phase. One thing that hasn't been super versatile is Graves.
Yeah.
This is now the 6th game in a row that we've seen Apollo on Graves.
Yeah.
Do not fix it if it is not broken, says Apollo.
Yeah. Some would argue that Graves is broken, but certainly a strong one for Impulse either way. Janna paired with it as well, so bonus AD for the burst. I think it's interesting how in certain combinations Janna ends up being an aggro support because of how you can buff the AD carry to go make bigger plays, but
True.
Either way, the backline will generally stay safe as well. Janna actually quite good against Zac since his only damage is his own body, and knockback's pretty good against a champion like that who burned their move block to get in. So Janna could be quite good here. It does leave Kiwi get up his Annie, though. That's actually locked before they even click their AD carry.
Yeah. They're saying the one pick they were for sure doing, get that out of the way.
Yeah, we know. For sure.
I still personally like teams that will wait and then lock in both champions.
I
Simultaneously, it should be done 100% of time by every team, professional around the world.
And that one time you're like, oh shoot, they already picked the support, we don't need Annie yet. Oh, crud. Like,
Right.
and then you can't pick the Xerath that you wanted or something, but
But teams still do non-simultaneous lock-ins, unfortunately.
that's what you got to teach coaches to do.
It's a super minor thing. It just
I agree. It's
gets on my nerves.
a free advantage given away. It's like removing a glyph from someone's rune page.
Yeah, it would suck if that happened.
Either way, 40 seconds left. Team Impulse. Hover on Apollo for Urgot. Back those words around. Please, please don't pick Yasuo. Just, well, I mean, at least he has knockup synergy this time around. But there's nothing good for Yasuo to do in this game,
Aside from be played by Xiao Xiao.
which wouldn't even be good.
That's
Like-
arguable. He's won.
Did you
2
see his
games
last game?
He's won 2 games on Yasuo.
Thanks to his team.
Yes.
Well, blind pick mid lane for Impulse. Top laner they know is going to be facing up against Sion most likely. And it's going to be Rumble picked for Impact.
Wow.
LeBlanc
Just-
for Xiao Xiao.
Insane value from that Rumble pick. Rumble's usually something you have to pick right at the top of the draft if you want to get him. Here, though, they do know they're going to be going up against a Sion, which isn't innately a good matchup, so they decide to pick it late. They also get Xiao Xiao onto a nice mobile assassin, a very mobile team the Team Impulse is putting together here.
Yeah.
Strong in lane, mobile in team fights, and it's the type of thing they want to get early pressure with and then snowball the game quickly.
Yeah, and there's definitely a good chance Impulse can do this. They've got an aggressive jungler in Rush who's on an aggressive jungle champion. Bunch of plays able to be made. Pretty much in all these lanes, there is a decent amount of gank pressure. And ooh, Katarina
Nice.
comes in for Team Dignitas. Shifter. Shout out to the old mid laner, the Team Skara. And he's going to get Katarina mid.
Yeah, I mean, it is actually an old favorite of Shifter.
That's true.
The Katarina. He loved way back when he was on Team Coast in the NACS, before we had the North American Challenger Series. It was that other tournament series that ran.
NACL?
NACL, sorry.
Yeah.
You have the correct name. He would run Kassadin or Katarina in any game he could. and always just roam down to the bottom lane in the mid game and just pick up kill after kill after kill.
Yeah.
They tried doing that in the LCS, and people warded better in
right.
the LCS, so it wouldn't work out. This team composition may be able to create its own opportunity for Shifter's Katarina, but my point is he's very comfortable on the champ.
He is very comfortable. I want to look now at what Janna can do to stop him, but at the same time, 3 hard engaged champions, Annie, Zac, and Sion to start the fight to set up Katarina. No tanky champions on Impulse to withstand the damage. He just might get the reset here. I do want to see how Shifter's Katarina does. Dignitas, they need to keep up with Winterfox, who've already won a game today, if they want to get 8th place in the final standings and pick their choice of challenger team to face in the promotion tournament.
Yeah, so it is actually a quite important game for both teams.
Yeah.
Some could even argue that it's Team Dignitas that needs this one more, but they're definitely the underdogs.
They are the underdogs. We're going to see what happens, though. Remember to share your thoughts on who is the underdog in this match by tweeting hashtag TIPwin or hashtag DIGwin to @LOLesports. Vote who you think is going to win, and we'll continue to count your votes throughout the game. See the comps up on screen. It's going to be a fun one. Impulse with the shot at a top 2 spot on the line. Dignitas hoping to move up in the standings against Winterfox.
And here we go. I mean, the thing I'm going to be watching here right at the start of the game, Freak, is whether or not we get lane swaps. Gamsu has shown his ability to win 1v1 matchups, but at the same time, he is on Sion, which is a very normal champion to force a lane swap with against Rumble because they want to deny Rumble heavily in the early game. It's all about the ward battle.
Ooh.
Dignitas is winning that one.
This is one of the first games ever Rush hasn't gone sweeper at level 1 either. Talking about early ward kills, and it just peaks majors. Oh, bad coordination. Dignitas double trinketed, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
maybe I'm wrong.
They did. In between the 2 mid lane turrets, there are 2 wards by Team Dignitas down there.
Talk about poor discipline. At least this time they locked him in at the same time.
They locked in the wards. Trying to make up for lost time, ends up costing them even more.
If Rush had a sweeper this game, 20 gold.
Yep.
Extra potion, almost? Nearly? Not quite, no. You don't get enough, right?
Yeah, he'd be sitting on 25 gold.
Aw.
Now, if they placed 3 wards in the same spot,
Then he'd be in a good spot.
We're talking about the important things.
Well, the important thing here is looks like a multi-jungle start here for Dignitas. Gamsu on Sion, going to get the Raptors, and no one's looking to stop him. Izingi on Zac, going to get no leash for Krugs. And Dig will send their duo lane to the bot side. Impulse will have Impact duoing with Rush. The 2 Koreans together. And their duo lane heads top side.
Yeah, now we just got to track the differences in these jungle starts. Izingi is actually starting on red buff, if you can believe it, on Zac. Zac auto-attacks less than other junglers early on. Adrian was so close to being able to pick up a kill on Gamsu. He's going to try and stop him from finishing this jungle camp. You can't do that when Sion's auto-attacking freely. If he would have roamed slightly sooner, he could have picked up a kill.
It's about 4 seconds off of that one. Nice try overall, but Gamsu, I guess, would have flashed away when he sees Janna and just recalls and gets to lane at level 1.
Would have been huge.
Yeah, but absolutely would have been a big deal here. Kiwi Kid early roam to the mid lane, wants to upset Xiao Wei Xiao. Doesn't get much for it, but maybe a bit of room for Shifter to grow. Rush doing his own jungle pathing. So Impact shared Krugs and I believe red buff with them, and then walked down to the bottom lane to 1v1 and now 1v2.
So some fast jungling, more efficient than both taking their own camps because they take less damage. And they also funnel most of the gold onto Rush. Not a bad level 1 strat by any means. I kind of like that, as long as he's able to 1v2 lane at level 2.
Yeah. There's a smite of Zingy. The smite benefit on blue buff is literally useless on Zac.
Just for the speed. Literally just for the speed.
It just wants to get that camp done. Go back by, I would assume, a Trailblazer. No, Chilling Smite, sorry. Zingy happy with his clear speed as it is, with just his regular stats. Wants to CC for fights later on.
Preemptive juke there by Shifter on the CS.
Good read, though.
Yeah, the lane matchup for Katarina against LeBlanc early is painful. We need to see how heavily Xiao Wei Xiao can outfarm Shifter. In the past, Shifter has not been a very good CSer, even in matchups that are even, and now he is against the #1 mid laner CS at 10, Xiao Wei Xiao at 84, as he is the #8 mid laner, only averaging 72 CS at 10. In a bad matchup.
In a bad matchup indeed. Gamsu, though, speaking of matchups, in a 1 versus 2, and he's got pretty much as much CS as the enemy AD carries, so far so good for the Dig Top laner, Impact in a bit of a worse spot. He is getting XP for himself, so Rumble's leveling up. That's a big deal, but
It is.
gold income really not coming in for him right here. Yep. This one, yeah, number 7 for himself.
So neither duo lane froze the enemy solo laner. That's normally what you'd see. Like, you either see a fast pushing team or a freezing team. You very rarely see a team that is just farming on the 80 carry and then letting the enemy top laner get experience at turret.
Yeah.
Both teams are doing this wrong right now.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, they're getting some harass down, like they're trying to auto the guy. But yeah, nothing really being gained here. Gamsu, though, all that said, is getting the better of this. All that said, but yeah. Got to see then what these teams want to do in these 2-on-1 lanes, because no advantage is being given. The supports, I guess they're charging Spell Thief's Edge. Shifter again with the jukes, just outplaying every distortion. The chain comes off, and Shifter forces Xiao away.
Nice work. The Doran shield on Shifter as well to try and ward against that harass has allowed him to push that lane pretty heavily.
Uh-oh.
Rush going to try and make a play, but Shifter saved his trinket ward for the Shumpo dash. Smart move.
Smart move indeed. Minion Wave coming as well, but either way, he's going to be in a fine spot here. So out he goes, only down 5 minions. Nice knock up by Janna, will deny a little bit, and Gamsu finally misses part of a wave under turret. Barely misses a wave under turret. Okay, missed one.
Lane swap's not going well for Team Impulse right now. The CS difference is growing. Sion has shown time and again in lane swaps that he can get the CS. Impact would need to make a pretty big play, and now he is at risk of getting froze on in this lane. He's trying to shove it in. I still feel like Dignitas can freeze this one out.
Yeah, pretty easily. 4 casts is about all you need to freeze it on your side of the map. This Cannon is going to just kind of eviscerate the wave, but the reinforcements will come in.
Early on in the year, this is what teams would do to Team Impulse, because Rush had never experienced lane swaps before.
Yeah.
Didn't know how to play it early on in the game. And unfortunately, it's looking kind of like an early season game for Team Impulse, at least in the early phases.
Heck, even in Champion Select. It's a bunch of stuff you expect to see at the beginning of the NALCS season. Impulse, they've done some new things. Some of that got banned away, and they're back to what used to work. More
He
wave
is getting
clear.
sneaky CS, sneaky experience, though.
Yeah.
Able to hit level 6.
Xiao actually holding a small lead, to be fair, over Shifter right now. Mid lane is going okay for Team Impulse here, but
As
massive lead.
far as the expected lead, though, I feel like Shifter is doing extremely well in this game. Keeping up in experience, not having to burn summoners.
He got to recall on time for a Negatron cloak as well to even further hamper the harass potential. And the question is now, when will the roams actually happen? Because you're seeing Impact play safely enough to not be harassed down. There's no roam there. Top lane, I don't think there's going to be any pressure from Dignitas on that one in the 1v2 Sion lane, so Shifter is relegated to just farming here.
And, ooh, a lot of the CS for Gamsu. A very subdued early game. Like I said, I think both teams are playing this lane swap suboptimally, letting the top laners get far too much farm. Shifter is holding on the best he can against Rush and Xiao. LeBlanc lanes are actually very rarely about the straight-up matchup. A lot of times it's about LeBlanc's ability to combo with the jungler for ganks.
True.
Shifter being able to dodge both of those things is quite impressive, honestly. And the team fight potential that comes out from Team Dignitas in the mid-game could be really, really large if Azingi starts hopping around with a Cinder Hulk Zac with Katarina resets on the way.
Yeah.
Team Dignitas has a strong early game yet again.
That's true. We'll see how their early game transitions then. They sit on a slight 200 to 300 gold lead. And as you mentioned, Katarina, we have to watch for Janna and Rek'Sai, the only 2 members who can break the channel on Death Lotus of Shifter. If those 2 don't have the cooldowns or mobility they need to make that happen, then keep this in mind.
They're waiting for him to distortion. They're hoping he uses another one because he can't mimic it anymore.
WR'd, yeah. There's a jump in. Death Lotus pop flash out of Xiao. Impulse knock up on Adrian. Good damage coming through. Zac ults as well, and Adrian likely to be the first casualty and is. Flash by Kiba Kick, gets a stun onto Rush. Out he goes. Ignite is on. 100 health left. Rush will survive though.
Nice gank there by Team Dignitas. Gamsu deciding to use that time of lane swapping back to get a gank edge on the mid lane where they would need the most help. and it's well executed by Team Dignitas.
Wow, look at these teams, the bottom of the standing surging sort of late in the split. Gamsu's just like, you know what, Impact, you're right, I don't really want this fight after all, but Winter Fox won earlier, Dignitas doing well now. The very last week, these teams finally showing some signs of life.
Yeah.
Rush gets seeds coming up, he's gonna try anyway.
They know he's out of mana.
Really nice equalizer flashed away by Gamsu, flash away from Rush. What else can they do? Rush doing such a good job of holding aggro. Should allow, oh my god, no! Impact goes down to the Traco. I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, the turret leached onto him right at the end, which when you have the turret plus an undead Scion running you down, you're gonna have a bad time. And honestly, this kind of speaks to the late season mini resurgence of Team Dignitas. It's no secret that this has been a very disappointing split for Team Dignitas.
Yeah.
And that they couldn't find a coach for an extremely long time. But now that they've had Rico, week over week, Team Dignitas' early game has been getting better. Last week against CLG, if you remember, they actually had a gold lead pretty late into the game.
Yeah.
But once they got to that point, they ran out of things to do. They hadn't been there very frequently this year, so they ended up losing quite badly in the mid and late game. Again, they're getting an early game lead on Team Impulse. And a Team Impulse is a team that actually makes their bank usually in the early and mid game. I'm really interested to see if Team Dignitas can transition this with roaming initiations. They have so many tools to do so. Annie, Zac, and Scion to start fights.
Well, Shifter tries to make his way down with that one on Katarina, but can't quite find it. Actually went around tunnels on the trip south to make sure he wasn't seen, but no gank just yet. All the same, though, bot lane pressure is there. Dignitas, in a way, winning in every single one of these lanes except for that mid lane that Xiao is now pretty heavily out farming. Just something to keep in mind as Dignitas sits on a 900 gold lead with 1 kill and 1 dragon added to their names. Xiao, though, still scary. Abyssal Scepter, definitely the target for Shifter. Merlanomicon, though, already done for Xiao means the wave clear is even easier.
Yeah, right now, Xiao hit his item power spike earlier. The CS lead is beginning to grow. Thank goodness that Shifter picked up that kill. Otherwise, he'd be starting to get into a whole bunch of trouble. He may even be in trouble now because the wave clear is too easy for Xiao.
Speaking of wave clear being easy, though, Impact, when he goes for minions, starting to get bullied around by Gamsu a bit, forced to ult to clear these things away. Just fear in the mind of Impact here. In the top lane, Xiao. That's basically free, whatever.
Trade.
100 damage, whatevs. No big deal. Bot lane getting pressured, though, a 20 minion lead for CoreJJ and Kiwi Kid. We haven't seen a lot of great things out of their bot lane in, I would say, a little while. It felt like their laning phases have been fairly weak, but this time they're actually doing a pretty good job of bullying around Apollo and Adrian. Better items on the Lucian.
This is the roam by
Teams coming
Kiwi
in
Kid,
too.
trying to make a fight. That's a lot of people bottom.
It's going to be 4 versus 4 down here. Mid lane's going to show soon. Kiwi Kid, though, going to be dropped right away. The re-engage comes in, and Zac helps make it a trade kill. Zingy, though, in a bad spot, but he will, looks like, escape. Now Impact is the target. Forced to flash away.
Katarina's going to try and make it in.
Now, can they have enough? Rush could knock him up pretty cleanly, though. They will not die, but Xiao also joins the fight.
Really fortunate there that Xiao followed Shifter down because that's what stopped Shifter from jumping in.
Whoa! Whole bunch of damage. Ignite is on Xiao. It's going to be close. Oh, he's going to live.
A full channel ult goes off from Shifter there, trying to turn the tides back around. He wants this kill. He wants to go even harder. He has flash. He's considering it.
Janna's
going to get shut down by Janna.
With exhaust.
Wise choice. Wise choice.
Yeah. All right, so that was a 5v5 in the bottom lane. It went 1 for 1. Both teleports used, pretty much everything traded close to equally here. But
Really competitive fight there. Yeah.
A bit of a 1v3. Flash exhaust comes in from Adrian. CoreJJ does have to flash away. Equalizer pretty massive here, just crushing the health bar. And Apollo gets the kill 2-0.
Impulse really sold out for that gank. 3 summoner spells and a Rumble ultimate. But I suppose if Impact is just using that Rumble ultimate to farm waves in the top lane, you may as well use it to get it and secure and kill. Pretty critical there, actually, as Team Dignitas had all recalled to get back to lanes, whereas Impulse beat them to the punch and got a nice cleanup kill on CoreJJ. That will impact the farm for Impact as well. That discrepancy in the top lane will only grow.
And he's going to have to walk back to the top lane where Gamsu is already there. Now keep in mind, both teleports will be down for the dragon fight, which is spawning the dragon itself in 1:15. Impact's equalizer will be available at that time, so if they do walk down, he'll be at more or less full power. But it will require some forethought by both top laners and both teams if they want these guys to join.
And we still see this pretty frequently from Rumbles. It is not uncommon for them to be significantly down in CS, but then still have a huge impact on the game in teamfights.
Yeah.
Rumble by himself is not an amazing farmer. He usually loses CS. Wow, that damage! If only Shifter had a little bit more.
If he had Ignite up or anything, yeah. Very close here. Kiwi Kid, though, roaming to the mid lane, and there's a minion wave coming in about 10 seconds. Xiao will not be here, and the bottom lane is not reacting. Mid lane's got free time to pressure. Rush will join eventually, but looks like they just want the wave. Not a lot of turret damage. 30 seconds now on Dragon. Gamsu looking to force Impact out of lane, and he's going to ult for it as well. Really wants this fight. He's trying to lock him out of this one. 20 seconds on Dragon, but the re-engage comes in. Impact overheating, dealing plenty of damage. Rechannel Q's going to miss. And in comes Rush, flash away, flashes in for the knockup. Gamsu gonna be a casualty of war here. Chasing down Rush, good damage here. Not quite enough though, gets CS only 4 for the bot lane. Gonna get re-engaged, cooling in onto Adrian, likely to kill onto this poor Janna. And that might just be the case. Yes, he will. Shifter, I don't know if he actually got the reset because it's only a 3-second lockout for that one. Kiwi Kid will land the stun. Shifter gonna get a lot of damage here. The dual lane goes down. Junglers choose different lanes. Dignitas chooses better.
I'm actually surprised that Team Dignitas didn't try and feed those kills directly to Shifter. But getting a kill on the jungle unity carry is still a pretty good deal. Those were kills they could have decided to trade that way. It's going to end up being a turret for Team Impulse on the backside of this, so a pretty close trade when all things are considered free.
That's true, +1 kill, but a turret pretty happy and generally worth more than a kill. But it does leave room for a Zingy to solo the dragon. I really like, we're seeing a lot of this from LCS teams. They're very reserved with how many people they actually send to dragon. Like a Zingy, you can solo it, you've got Ward Control. Everyone else, keep your lanes under control. Don't let them push mid, don't let them push bottom.
I think it's an evolution of the game, for sure. Because what became a pretty default strategy, at least for early Dragons, is make the other team commit for it, take turrets, you win the game with turrets.
Yeah.
And since teams are actually deprioritizing Dragon a little bit, you're more free to solo it while keeping presence in the lanes, and that way it's not a trade, but instead a take. And it just gives you an advantage there.
As long as you have the vision to do so and reallocate back if they do contest. Good things by Team Dignitas. Impulse, again, in the back half of this split, they are 6-1. They dropped a single game to teammate in a nail-biter, but by and large, Team Impulse have been one of the most impressive teams in the last half of the spring split. Dignitas, who have had such a very, very, very rough split so far, dismantling Impulse just a little bit here.
Absolutely, and in item builds is one way we can look. Shifter rushing the Abyssal Scepter is absolutely what you want to do. Xiao builds no defensive itemization. Next patch is the Athene's Unholy Grail buff, but even in this matchup, I've seen many LeBlancs go Athenes if they have Assassination threat on the other side as well. But in this case, it's Shifter getting the Magic Pen and defense, where Xiao was just getting the offense, and we've seen that's allowed Shifter to out-trade Xiao and create pressure in that way.
What Xiao has done, though, is interesting. He, I think he's running scaling magic resist runes. He's at 47 MR just right now at level 11 with no auras near him.
Yeah, he is.
Flat MR glyphs is 12. He's got plus 17. So I think that's scaling, and he's like, look, I'll do this instead of scaling AP. Math in my head, I think that's actually better going for Merlin Almacan in that case. In this patch until the Athene's buff next one, so interesting adaptation.
I hope Shifter goes Luden's Echo in this game as well. I feel like it's one of the best early items on Katarina.
Yeah, her Q does so darn much damage, though in my mind, I think if Zonius is next for him,
yeah,
so you can play more aggressively and then get reset later.
Luden's Echo on Katarina is more of a first item rush when you don't have to build defensive in lane.
Yeah.
But Shifter needed to against the block. So maybe no Ludens this time.
And we'll see what the choice ends up being. There's always a chance he goes for that one. Shifter right now just able to actually kind of farm. Xiao no longer really harassing. He's wave clearing and leaving for ward control. And he's actually going to get some of that over the Raptor camp here. Xiao getting some vision top jungle. There's actually an aggressive pink ward in there as well. A lot of vision north jungle. None south side, and Dignitas have Kiwi Kid waiting to make a play. 3 versus 4. Impulse have 4 members here.
Yeah, I mean, it would have to be a sellout initiation there by Zingy from the backside. But the flank initiation is actually greatly respected there by Team Impulse, and they do not even get turret damage.
Rush, though, sends a burrowed Q down the line of the brush and is like, there's a Zac over there.
Yeah.
Really clever stuff by Rush. Not like he was moving, just kind of spotted that one out on his own intuition there. And Dignitas have to respect all that. Bit of a chain coming out. Zingy down to half health.
Yeah, well, the nice thing about Rek'Sai is, since you get to see people while they're moving, you can also guess where they're not. There's only a few places they could be hiding if they're not moving.
That's true. Oh, nicely done here. Mid lane going to be pressured out. They've allocated Core JJ to the mid lane.
This could be a flank. Look at Rumble from the top side.
He's coming in. Where will the equalizer go? All 5 of Dig are here. Cubic has a stun and his flash ready. The explosive initiate, definitely scary. Something to watch out for.
Impact definitely would have had to land that first harpoon. The ability for Impulse to initiate is pretty low when you consider it, when you compare it to Team Dignitas' hard initiation. Really, I thought Team Impulse to win this game would have to have a lot of early pressure. I was expecting a lot more from Rush, and beating up on Zingy, and Xiao actually getting some kills, or at least a turret against Shifter.
True.
But none of that has happened, which is starting to turn the tides here towards Team Dignitas.
Yeah, I wonder. I mean, we talked about Team Impulse. Are they getting overconfident? Do they feel like they don't have to make aggressive plays or risky plays? We watched their games last week against the likes of Coast, and it's like, well, okay, you know, they're kind of sleeping on them, no big deal, pick the Yasuo, whatever. But Team Impulse certainly don't look like they've grown in the last 2 weeks.
We mentioned it at the very top of the show. Team Impulse playing against Coast and Winterfox last week, a tumbling Team Liquid at the end of week 7. They haven't been playing against top flight North American LCS competition lately. And what has that done to their playstyle? Are they trying to make moves that would work against a worse team that aren't working here against a Team Dignitas who's really cleaned up their early game?
Yeah, well, Dignitas certainly looking like they've cleaned up a lot here, and maybe they can clean the floor with Impulse. 2 Dragons to 0 for Dignitas, as well as his 1,000 gold lead. Certainly not a big lead. Obviously a very close game here, just one that did not go the way many people would have expected. Impact hits the big power spike of Liandry's Torment. He's already level 11, now 12 actually. So everything a Rumble ever needs already here for Impact. Being held down in the early game, not seeming to matter much anymore. There's a lot of teams, we talked to Cloud9 about that. Lemon said so. He's like, yeah, we think we outscale, so, you know, we're going to take our time and, you know, let the early game go a little bit slow, but don't worry, we're going to turn it on later on. Maybe the case here for Impulse, they think they outscale, but I don't know if that's the case.
I don't think Team Impulse thinks they outscale, which is why they're trying to win now. They just hit some pretty nice item power spikes. Void Staff built by Xiao is damaged now. It's one of the greatest two-item builds. Ult behind Core JJ. They're trying to force. Everyone's coming down bot lane.
Here comes the equalizer. Only hits a Zingy, though not the greatest aim, and Gamsu gets the kill on to Rush. Will they chase Impact down? Looks like Tibbers will do so, but not the rest of the team. Diana's around Katarina, forced to go the long way, though. Dignitas forced to wait. But it's an eventual 5v4 all the same, and Dragon is alive, and can you really contest this without a jungler?
Gamsu's teleport was just faster. It ended up collapsing on Rush, who was trying to do the collapse himself. And now, with Rush being the guy giving the team MR with that Aegis against potential Katarina resets, they have to, at the very least, go for a steal.
Ooh, they get it! The burst comes out as Zingy smites early. Left with 7 health.
Oh no, that was such a huge Dragon steal. And I wonder if that plays on the morale of Team Dignitas, because they have struggled to close out games when they have these early game leads. And now, giving that 6% ability power and attack damage for free to Team Impulse when Dignitas thought they were going to be getting that move speed could be crushing.
Oh man, Impulse got to be a bit scared here, and the mid lane turret getting pressured as well. Use some shields, why not? Mid-outer did not go down for a dig on the backside of that fight. They got a pick. They got map control for it. And the global advantage went Impulse's way. They got Dragon. They might even get mid-outer turret in the near future if they want to actually pressure it.
Yeah.
Xiao once again could try right here.
Losing that first Dragon is just so incredibly important.
Here
but
Sion, Xiao has to flash, but he still has nowhere to go. Why flash that way?
You gotta flash sideways. Sion can't turn quickly. That was a mistake.
Yeah.
I mean, Team Dignitas trying to bounce right back from giving up that Dragon and get immediate pressure on the map.
like that's the case. Mid-outer goes down, 25 seconds on Xiao, the farmiest member on the team. And it looks like Dignitas going to make their way into West Jungle as their prize. Couple of wards, top lane outer could be killed. Kiwi Kid, though, got to be careful, finds impact, trades blows with this one. Big damage comes out as Ziggy finds Adrian yet again. 0 and 4 on this poor Janna.
Yeah, and it's not going to get any easier there for Adrian. Katarina can jump right onto Janna, burst her down. Impact did pick up a kill onto a support, but honestly, kill trades in that fashion probably aren't worth it at this juncture.
I don't think so at all, and in fact, just engage tools are going to keep coming in for Team Dignitas. You've got Talisman of Ascension nearly done now for the Annie of Kiwi Kid. So they can run fast and jump walls and stun your entire team. The tools keep mounting here for Dig. You even said before that it's not like Impulse outscales. They're trying to use mid-game power, and nothing's really working.
And the scaling would be even worse without that dragon. Just to kind of call back attention to the incredible importance of that first dragon when you're 25 minutes into the game. 6% of 200 attack damage is still a lot of attack damage, right? That's 12 AD. Per point of attack damage is about 36 gold. So just on that one person, it's nearly 400 gold in stats in AD.
Yeah.
That's across the board. AP champions have similar gold scalings. That is potentially thousands of gold when you get that dragon stolen away. The Dignitas just gave up to Team Impulse because of a poor smite.
Absolutely agree. Luden's Echo actually was the pickup. So,
all right.
Yeah, so
first damage time.
Fought against this item a few times. It's really pokey because your Q normally does so little damage. You like have to proc it with autos or something. But is he gonna? No. Okay, forces the ult out.
Surprising still.
Yeah. So normally Katarina Q has a pretty low base damage because you have to trigger it to do the rest of it. But Luden's Echo just does the full damage of the Luden's trigger, and you get pretty good poke out of this one. Get some good wave clear as well. Let's Shifter spend more time elsewhere on the map. Rush getting pushed down. Turret goes in. Kiwi Kid not quite there with the stun. But that is outer turret number 3. Dignitas winning in objectives here.
They are. They're building up the pressure. And they have the initiation tools and some really tanky people in order to make turret dives happen. If Gamsu can start a fight while getting the turret on him, followed by everyone else flying in, that could be an incredibly clean fight for Team Dignitas. We did mention in Champion Select a distinctive lack of tanks on Team Impulse. And that last pick, Katarina, is just looking better and better since he was able to survive the laning phase against Xiao LeBlanc.
Yeah. 2-0-3. Highest KDA on his team here in this game. Second highest kills. Pretty happy things overall. Xiao gonna get found. There's the flash engage. Timbers is on. Let's bounce. Down goes Xiao. Third kill for Shifter.
They burned the flash Timbers on a solo kill. You'd think they'd be able to get a little bit more there, but they have to take an objective since there is a cooldown they get on that flash Timbers. Because of the distortion boots, it's only
189.
Yeah, 216 is the read I have on here. Maybe he's got some different masteries going on.
Oh, that's Ignite, sorry. Yeah, 216 for flash.
But even then, that's only 3.5 minutes.
Yep.
But it doesn't look like Team Dignitas takes anything off of that.
Well, they're just getting solo kills. I mean, I guess tier 2 turret's a bit hard for them to kill, potentially. If they don't have the waves pushed down, there's no real where to go. I know we've seen in the last week or two a lot of teams getting like 25-minute Barons off of superior ward control. Though right now that is not the case for Dig either. Dragons in a minute. Everyone's going to respawn in plenty of time for that objective. And you think if that last steal didn't happen, Dig would be looking at Dragon 4 off of this one.
Yeah.
They're clearly the team in the lead. They're clearly the team with fight control here. But they're now an extra 6 minutes slower on using Dragon 5 as a way to win the game.
That's the poke.
Yep.
That's the Luden's Echo Katarina right there. It's only 100 base damage plus a 0.15 ratio, but you add that to the normal damage of the Katarina Q.
Yeah.
And it starts to hurt.
Instead of the 300 damage Q, it's 450 from Luden's Echo total. It's the rough numbers there, slight rounding, but makes wave clear really easy. He one-shots melee minions with a W. Bottom lane still getting pressure. Dignitas playing the split push game, and CoreJJ playing Demolitionist. Bottom lane tier 2 goes down just because they wanted it to. And Dignitas now with 4 seconds on Dragon have to make sure Zinga can land the smite. Both top laners have teleport.
At this point, Team Impulse should be trying to split push a turret, but they can't because they're so fearful of either the Zac, Sion, or Annie initiations.
And No one's going to even look at Dragon twice. Impulse have the timer. They killed it themselves, but they know they cannot do anything about this. This is cleared. Baron actually mostly controlled by Impulse, but there's still a couple of wards by Dig, not far away. Attack 1v1 on Gamsu. Nice little knock up there.
This could be a really messy fight. Both teams collapsing in. They're going to meet probably at this Baron.
Gamsu ults in, only finds Adrian. He is 1v5 right now. How tanky is he? Equalizer to buy time. Into the backline goes to Ziggy, goes for the knockup. They get impact. That's a 1-for-0, and Gamsu is still alive. There's the chase. They pick up Adrian as well. Apollo on the run. Shifter's there. Chain's gonna not quite stick around as he gets the slow, though. Apollo's got almost nowhere to go. He's running pretty slowly. Summoner Heal to buy a bit more time, and he will get himself out of this one. But a 2-for-0, all the same for Dignitas.
I mean, the threat from Team Dignitas' team fight is potentially too much for Team Impulse to deal with right there. We knew that was going to be a pretty messy fight, and Impact tried to zone with the Rumble Ultimate, but it was just not to be. Xiao trying to make a desperate play on the back end. Oh, nope, not enough. Just in case.
I'm here!
Whee!
There he goes. Dignitas getting rid of some of the wards in their own jungle. But again, no really objectives off that fight.
Yeah, I mean, Gamsu starts this one actually not in the worst way because he is the super tank at this point. Everyone is able to jump over the Rumble Ultimate, and they didn't track the Core JJ and Shifter fight there. It was actually not even an ideal execution by Team Dignitas there. As you notice, Shifter flashed to not get a reset. It could have been Katarina really running people down if they had played that fight a little bit better. But who cares about that? Because Team Dignitas is winning fight after fight. Katarina is getting scarier and scarier, and Team Dignitas is still the team that is able to dictate.
Absolutely impressive by these guys dictating the pace pretty much.
Oh, geez.
The entire time. Impact not a bad spot. He's got his ulti, he's got flash. Minion hits him. Gamsu charges him down. Quick Q as well. That's going to be a kill. Gamsu gets the kill yet again. 4 on Sion. He's taking the kills, but he's tanky for it, so maybe worth it.
Yeah, there's not a person on this team outside of Annie that won't do good work with the kill. There's the flash.
Rush gonna try to get away, jumps over the wall, doesn't quite get cold, and out he goes.
Well, now they know they have a top laner dead and a jungler going back to base who has just used her ultimate recently. Rek'Sai cannot come back here. It would have to be a Xiao over the wall steal. We've seen it before.
Yep. You even see level 1 Janna tornadoes take dragons and barons away, so Adrian uses that cooldown up. Red team is slain. Baron, Nashor, Dignitas even farther in advantage now.
There we go. 3 out of 4 dragons, 1 out of 1 Baron. Team Dignitas looking more controlled and with a sense of purpose in the mid-game here. They are finding team fights or kills, and that was the first time there where they specifically targeted a person to get an objective right after. Right? They picked up impact. They say, okay, that's great. We need to get one more person low, and then it's an easy Baron. They sell out, flash ult onto Rush's Rek'Sai, the perfect target to get out of the fight, and immediately turn for that objective. That is how you play League of Legends. You force to get people out of position, and then you take objectives.
And the objectives were taken, and now Dignitas, despite being a pretty darn low-range team, have the chance to really push on down. They've got Baroned up mid lane minions. In they go. Turret quickly picked up. No contest from Team Impulse. And true to turret number 2 goes down. Look at the inhib. They send Sai on top. He's actually charging in to try to stop Rumble in the top lane. Rand wins to slow. The chase still on. Baron buff means damage, but yeah, it does. Oh! Fairly close, actually.
Yeah. If he hadn't TP'd out, it still would have been a while until he dies.
That's true.
Least.
Well, Dignitas would have flanked that off, though, and he would have...
Freak, this is really shocking, honestly. Team Impulse was kind of expected to be the second best team in North America with the surge they were being on. A lot of people thought that they were maybe even favorites against COG tomorrow in what was assumed to be a match for second place.
Yeah.
But if Team Impulse loses to Team Dignitas here, those second place playoff aspirations will die with it.
Yeah, they will not be able to catch Counterlogic Gaming if they do lose this one. Xiao pushing on in, clearing some waves, but Impact losing a lot of health. Impulse to hold on to a chance for a playoff bye. Must win here. Dignitas looking at an 8th place spot at the end of the season. Would like to win this to catch up to Winter Fox. So far, so good. Dignitas, 6 turrets down. 8,000 gold up. Dragons up in a minute. That'll be number 4 for them. Everything looking good for the red team here.
Core JJ's got a lot of items on Lucian.
Yeah.
Let's think about the ways that Team Impulse could come back in this one.
Okay.
Katarina with Zhonya's and playing pretty safe on the outside of the fights is a hard target to get. The target I see that Team Impulse needs to get down is actually Core JJ's Lucian. With Kiwi Kid always going for initiations, if somehow Team Impulse could flank, they could kill Core JJ before anything happened. And at that point, it would just be Tanks and Katarina trying to burst someone down. The sustained damage to set up the resets would be out of the fight, theoretically.
Yeah.
So Core JJ needs to be a little bit safe. Speaking of which, he flashes in. So Flash is down.
Yeah, I think he thought Kiwi Kid was coming too, but Kiwi Kid didn't flash it either, and then Howling Gale locked him up.
It's time to go, boys.
Doesn't matter much though. Looks like Dirt Dragon. Core JJ gonna take that one mostly by himself. There is number 4, so thank your lucky stars Team Impulse fans to the prior steal. That would have been Dragon 5. Dignitas with so much control over the neutral objectives this game. Now Impulse, we've got Impact up top. He's going for Zhonya's next. Although at this point, I almost feel like you want more burst and just like go grab a Death Cap or even a Luden Zeko yourself and just try to eviscerate the squishies. Dignitas' only damage comes from squishy champions. LeBlanc is bursty, Rumble can be bursty, Graves is bursty. The chance to one-shot those people does exist here, to be fair.
But at the same time, I feel like Impact is going to want to do the Zhonya's Flame Spitter, right?
Yeah.
There's so much damage that comes out to him. If he's ever in range to actually hit a squishy, he's going to be hit.
Yeah.
And die himself. It's tricky when you don't have as much gold.
I know. It is. It is. What you do when you got limited choices.
Yeah, I mean, look at these gold differences. 15,000 to 12,000 on the AD carry. A 1,000 gold lead by Shifter over the 0-2-0 Xiao LeBlanc.
Yep.
And then that top lane discrepancy as well. 2,500 gold.
Sion rumbling down to the bottom lane.
Yeah, a level 18 Sion with all that cooldown reduction can use that ultimate basically as a dash. It's a 36-second cooldown. By the time he's going to need it again, it will be back up.
Right now, all he wants to do is sit in the bottom lane, so no rush in this one. Knock that down. Pretty easy. Impact forced to recall away, and Gamsu has routinely been out-laning Impact. The lane swap went better for him. They went back into their own lanes, and it just got better and better and better for Sion.
Something's a little bit odd about this. So Gamsu ulted out of base with the Doran Shield, a Pink Ward, and 1,500 gold. So he actually valued the Pink Ward and the Doran Shield being in his inventory
Over like a Giant's Belt.
over like a, whether it's another Spectre's Cowl to deal with heavy physical damage, whether it's Chain Vest, Giant's Belt. I feel like he should have gotten rid of the Doran Shield for one of those things.
I agree with you.
But, you know, it's each their own. They're winning.
Maybe the shop in 5.5 is a bad return policy, and out of spite, he refuses. Didn't keep the receipt, who knows?
Must keep the Pink Ward until you place it.
It was a gift from his mother. You can't return those.
This is tricky for Team Impulse. I feel like Team Dignitas is just waiting on Baron and Dragon respawn timers.
At this point, you got the luxury of doing so.
Yeah.
Dragon's in a minute. Sorry, Baron's in a minute. Dragon's in like 4. Again, their siege is pretty abysmal without that buff, so I think it's smart. Like, you expose Lucian to so much risk if you're in range of a turret.
He's finally building some magic resist as well. Spectre's Cowl. Perfect item in this situation. The best burst defense he can get. Especially if he finishes Banshee's Veil.
And notice that Impulse are actually funding the gold mostly to Apollo.
Yeah.
Xiao only getting like 1 or 2 minions.
They're
instead
hoping
of all
to
of
get
them.
to a... Whoa! Okay.
Yeah, they're going to go for this one in the back line. It's a massive stun. Sion helps as well. Adrian going to be the first casualty. No! Heals the team. Backs out. A Zingy split into Bloblets, and there's the equalizer. They have dropped down Impact, though, and it looks like Dignitas happy to stay. Wait. And they've got a Zingy again. Rush, got to be careful. Wow, nearly goes down. Xiao forces Core JJ out, but Baron's alive.
Yeah, a fight right before an objective once again by Team Dignitas right there. It caught everyone a little bit off guard because I was thinking they were going to find the fight while they were baiting Baron as an objective, not just randomly in the mid lane.
Yeah.
But despite missing a fair amount of abilities there, Team Dignitas still crushes the fight. And yeah, perfect Baron control.
Good stun, good ults, good amount of damage, and they got the 1 for 0, trading a jungler's passive for a top laner kill. Cannot be sad about this one. Spectre's Cowl, Death Cap for Xiao Xiao means you always have to respect the damage output of LeBlanc, but he has yet to find any kill participation whatsoever.
Not a good fantasy performance by Xiao Xiao, that's for sure.
No.
Or performance in general.
Period.
Yeah. In a game that meant so much for Team Impulse. Having the opportunity to beat COG tomorrow for that #2 seed is huge for them. And they are so far behind in this Team Dignitas match. If they want to stop Team Dignitas from getting the 5th Dragon, they would have to fight a team with Baron and with very limited vision control.
That's true, and actually Impulse, as you mentioned their playoff seedings, we talked about them being in the battle for 2nd, 3rd. Their spot at 4th could be upset too, by the way. Teammate and Gravity are sitting on 9 wins. They are 1 behind Team Impulse. One of those teams is going to win tomorrow. And if Impulse can't pick up a win here, then there's a tie between those 2 teams. And they'll go even farther down the standings. They're in the playoffs, I think, no matter what at this point.
They can catch Core JJ if they go right away. And now they're caught because they did not go right away.
You gotta be careful, you gotta be careful. There's the slows coming down. Shifter gets a small ult in. Gamsu chases. He finds Adrian out. Apollo. Jan is in a bad spot, and he goes down after the Monsoon triggers. Xiao Xiao now being chased, gets stunned, gets chopped up, and that's a 2 for nothing to Dignitas. They still have the Baron buff. They've still got a minion wave right behind them.
Who cares about 5th Dragon when you have 50-second death timers and a Baron buff? Team Dignitas looking to make some significant damage into Impulse's base.
They could have grabbed the minion line. They don't want to, though. Happy to back for this one. Gamsu, by the way, still taking the turret the entire time. Doesn't even lose 1,000 health here. There's inhibitor number 1. Minion wave 5 seconds away from them. Damage in. Core JJ wants this. Gets knocked up in turret range. Forced to flash out. A Zingy. Zoning, let's bounce. Why the heck not? Oh my gosh, Shifter drops down Apollo. Yeah,
too.
Why not? Pick up a couple more kills. Zonia's from Impact. Nexus turret number 2 going to be going down shortly. And Team Dignitas, in 41 minutes, they're going to drop down Team Impulse. And finally, break the drought.
What an upset right there by Team Dignitas. Team Dignitas, a team that had lost 5 of their last 6.